Have you ever thought, why is it that I'm suffering in my relationship? Like, why am I so angry and pissed? Maybe it's because you don't have boundaries. And when you don't have boundaries, there are consequences that you're going to deal with. My name is Sheree Cain-Jones. You can call me Coach Sheree. I'm a professional speaker and coach, and for over a decade, I have been helping women to think, speak, and act confidently in their relationships all the way to the stage. Now, there are 3 consequences that you are going to suffer whenever you don't have boundaries in your relationships. These are boundaries that you don't have in relationships with family members, boundaries that you don't have in relationships with your clients, and boundaries that you do not have in your romantic relationships. The first consequence that you are going to deal with when you don't have boundaries is your peace. So I want you to think less about peace being a feeling that you are going to have, but it's a plan that you make. It is a plan that you make. See, sometimes as women, we will say, I've given it all, I've done so much, I'm tolerating this, I'm tolerating that, and we can find ourselves exhausted and resentful. But what I have to teach women is sometimes, like, we don't have peace, and it's not because you're lazy or you're incompetent or you're broken. It has nothing to do with that, but it's because we don't have the boundary. So let me give you a really great example. We had some people that we knew of, their family members, like people we knew of, and I was tolerating behavior. Have you ever done that where you've just tolerated behavior and you do it because of maybe your religious upbringing, because you were taught, you have to serve, you have to love, you have to give, but then all the while you say you're keeping peace, but you're just pissed. And it's because you don't have a boundary. So that was me. I didn't have clear boundaries. Hey, you can do this, but you cannot do that. Like, that's not okay. So what I would do is when someone crossed the line, I would get angry. Well, being angry is not a boundary. That's the first thing. So a boundary is not about you being angry or I just speak my mind. No, a boundary is not what you say when someone crosses a line. It is what you do when someone crosses a line. It is making a decision to say, I'm going to leave the situation. I'm going to end the conversation. I'm not going to send the text. A lot of us as women, we get really confused and go, no, I have boundaries. I speak my mind, or I get mad, or I slam the phone, when really what we have is avoidance. And avoidance is not a boundary. And avoidance doesn't equal peace. So we always have to think, when we don't have these boundaries, there is a consequence to that. There's a cost that we're incurring. So think about all of the opportunities that you've missed because you weren't in peace. All of the goals you didn't achieve because you weren't in peace. All of the experiences that you didn't have because you weren't in peace. Boundaries cause consequences, and those consequences can lead to regret. So that's the first consequence you're going to deal with not having clear boundaries in your relationship, and it's going to be peace. The second one is, people don't think about this, but it's your emotional energy. It is thinking of your emotional energy like here's what I want you to do. I want you to think of your emotional energy like a battery. So if I had a battery here, let's say the battery was this big, and you only get so much energy in a battery, and then it's gone. But when we don't have boundaries, we spend our emotional energy in the wrong way instead of directing it in the right way. Now, remember, this was for me years ago. I would be overgiving, over-explaining, trying to just get people to understand. So that's an internal boundary, when you're always trying to convince people of your point. But I'm confused. Sheree, why were you trying to convince people of your point? Were you not convinced of your point? Were you not very secure in who you were? And I see a lot of smart, capable, high-achieving women. They're trying to, if I just say a little more, if I just give a little more, if I just do a little more, then this person is going to get it. But when we do that, what we're doing is we're spending our emotional energy, anger, resentment, being pissed. That takes a lot of energy. And what I always tell my students is that energy spent in one place, it's not spent in another. So I'm gonna give you an example. I know someone, she was spending all of her emotional energy on a family member, always rescuing them, always helping them, always being there for them. And guess what happened? It ended up ruining her health. It ended up ruining opportunities at her job. It ended up ruining her spiritual life. So when we don't have boundaries, guess what? It hurts our life. Sometimes women think by always rescuing people that they were helping them with their problem, but many times I've learned that you are prolonging both their pain and their problem. And that comes from us not understanding what kind of relationship we're in. So if you DM me on Instagram at The Real Coach Sheree and just DM me relationships, I will send you my PDF on the different relationships. Because some of us, we're giving all of our energy in a relationship, but we're not really in a relationship. What we're really in is we're in a transaction. And we're confused as to why we're drained and why we are not doing well. So that's the second consequence you're gonna deal with when you don't have boundaries. Number 3, the third consequence. Now we know this, but we don't realize it. We waste our time. You waste your time. Now notice what I said. I didn't say you waste the other person's time because they're fine. You waste your time. Again, this is more of internal boundaries. So a lot of times women think of boundaries as, I'm trying to keep people out, I'm trying to lock them out, I'm trying to let them know what time it is. But sometimes we have really bad boundaries within ourselves. So we haven't, when I say bad boundaries, internal boundaries, you haven't decided what you will do and what you won't do. And I used to do this. I had very poor internal boundaries when it came to people. I was always rescuing them. So there is a technical name for this. It's called human giver syndrome. Like, you can look it up. I want to say Nagoski has done research on this. And this is when women, they think that they are the savior of the world. So if someone has a problem, you just put on your superhero cape, girl, and you are gonna go and save them. But the only thing that happens is you end up giving away your precious time and you don't manage your own time. So again, just kind of think about all the years that you've given your time to others and have not really developed yourself. I know women who want to go into the C-suite. They are ready for a change in their career. They want to have more opportunities and visibility. But when we begin to really look at their life, they are spending their precious time on people in ways that do not serve them. Now, I am by no means saying do not love people, do not give to people, but I am saying that we've got to begin to treat our time like our sexuality. And treating your time like your sexuality means you don't just give it away to anyone who wants it. Why is that? Because you can't get it back. And there is a cost, a consequence that you incur when you give all of your time away. There's a financial cost. So I want you to think, if you thought over the last 2 years of the cost that you've incurred from not having boundaries, rescuing, helping, crying, over-explaining, trying, pleading, begging. Okay, that's your time. I want you to think of the emotional cost, the resentment, the anger, the lack of peace. And that comes because if this person's not okay, you're not okay. So what that means is when we do that, that means that our internal self is controlled by somebody else's situation. Now, I need to make sure that I exclude a crisis. I exclude things that happen with your small children. I'm excluding those issues, but a lot of times that's not what I'm seeing. What I see is women giving all of their precious time away to people who really don't value it. They spend their energy, their time, and their peace. So it's like, well, Coach Sheree, what do I do? How do I save this? How do I stop this? How do I begin to have some boundaries? So I first of all, I want to walk in peace. Second of all, I don't want to be like this. Like I'm confused, I'm angry, I'm pissed off. And number three, I'm giving all of my time away. I'm wasting my time on these people when I could be building up my skills. Well, first, you've got to understand, first of all, what is the boundary? Well, let me say it like this. What is the area you need the boundary? Because if everything is important, nothing's important. So we want to identify that area. Number two, what's the boundary you need to set? What is the boundary you need to set? Now, the best way to set real clear boundaries is to develop a life philosophy. And I teach women this. I go through this with women to help them to create a life philosophy, and that will help you to set better boundaries. But just for the sake of this YouTube video, like, what's the boundary you need to set? And then number three, you have to take the action. You have to take the action, and you have to be willing to deal with the pressure. And if that's you and you're like, Coach Sheree, I need some help beyond this video. I have tried, I've watched 35 YouTube videos, I've read 30 books, I've had 25 conversations, and I've journaled 100,000 times. You need to make sure that you fill out that application to help me to help you so that you can develop that confidence and build that belief in yourself. Listen, I love you. I believe in you. I want you to set boundaries and to stop dealing with these awful consequences. So make sure that you check out my resources in the description. I have some free resources there for you. You can fill out the application if you want to become one of my students. And we go through an entire journey to get you from being stuck to helping you start, to helping you make a plan, to you being a boss. So I love you. I believe in you. Make sure that you rewatch this video, take notes, and no longer deal with the consequences of not having boundaries. Lights off me, lights on you, girls. It's your turn now. Lights, camera, action. I'll see you next time.